Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. The price of XRP is down today along with the rest of the crypto market, but that does not change anything big picture. And it's actually nice to see a headline from Cointelegraph indicating as much. Look at this headline. XRP distribution phase doesn't change $20 price target, analyst. And Cointelegraph, I'm telling you, man, crapping all over XRP for most of the last decade. And recently, so it's not that they've stopped doing that, by the way. It's just that every now and then you will see, ever since the election in particular, November last year, you've been way more likely to see positive articles about XRP. So it's kind of like they realize if they don't shift at least to some degree from saying a bunch of nonsense about XRP, they're going to just look even more ridiculous than they already have for most of the last decade. So nice to see some recognition at this, especially at a time now where, like I said, market's down. By the way, at the time I'm recording this, it's 6:21 p.m. Central Time, Friday, August 29th, 2025. XRP's at $2.81 with a 24-hour low of $2.78. You've got Bitcoin at 108,564 with a 24-hour low of 107,677 bucks. Not surprisingly, this has most market participants, or at least a ton of them, in absolute fear, and this happening at a time where it makes way more sense to be fully excited about what's happening and how well positioned the entire crypto market, including XRP, actually is. And the analysts that I follow, and I follow them for a reason, they have great track records, they are not fearful. They are not capitulating. And also, at the bottom of the market, when most stupid chart analysts were saying, hey, we're just going to go lower. Remember that? Remember Kappa when he was saying Bitcoin, it was at what, 16,000 or so? We're going to $12,000. That didn't happen. At the time when most analysts were screaming that, the analysts that I follow believe that we were going higher. You just got to be careful who you listen to, frankly. And it's not that they are all right all of the time. No human is, but on the whole, they have great track records. So you're going to get a bit of optimism in this latest Moon Lambo hot jam, which I believe is very well placed. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, here's a post from chart analyst Credible Crypto from yesterday morning, and I shared this in a video yesterday, actually. I don't need to reread it. He was just noting that, hey, on the lower time frame, just meaning the short term, he thought XRP was likely to go a lot lower, but big picture doesn't matter. Higher time frame, big picture, XRP is still going way higher. He is not at all deviated from what he's spoken about XRP publicly. His expectation still is XRP is going to peak between $20 to $30 this market cycle. Now, when he warned that XRP was going to go lower, it was hovering around $3, and we've gotten lower. Like I said, $2.78. That's the local low as of the time I'm recording this. So that's a fair bit down. So we had this post from him just this afternoon. Excuse me. And this was at 4:24 p.m., so close to 2 hours ago he posted this. And he wrote here, talking about XRP, of course, lows at $2.78 were just taken, meaning had I still been in the long below, because he was talking about trading in that post, says I would have been stopped out. Right decision was made. XRP BTC still not quite at my area of interest, so still watching price action develop on XRP for now. And he expanded upon that idea in this post. There are 4 charts on your screen here. You've got Bitcoin on the top left and the top right, then XRP BTC chart, bottom left XRP USD, and bottom right ETH USD. And he posted this this afternoon as the market was already falling and people were panicking. The price XRP at the time, $2.82. And he said, my current screen and what I'm watching closely, very confident that the red X's get taken on the 3 charts where I've marked them off. Whether Bitcoin will take $105,000 is another story. If the lows on the alt charts get taken and Bitcoin still remains above $105,000, it's a good sign. Okay, so I will note at the time I'm recording this anyway, the low that he marked right here with this X on the XRP USD chart at $2.78, that was hit. And we're at least at the moment I'm recording this, I know stuff happens fast. I don't know if the market's lower or higher by the time you're watching this. You guys are future people. I'm past Moon Lambo. but we are at least above it at this point in time. But even more important than that, and this has been made clear by Credible Crypto, is that Bitcoin level of $105,000, because he's publicly stated if Bitcoin goes below that, you know, he would think that that's concerning. That he does not remotely think that that's something that should be expected. The blockchain backer has has articulated a similar concern. If you hit that level, breach that, goes lower. That's when the blockchain backer even said that he'd start to consider that maybe the top's actually in for Bitcoin. So key level here. Let's hope that Bitcoin does stay above it. But right now there is no cause for alarm, says Credible Crypto. In fact, to highlight that, take a look at this post in the afternoon. He shared this. He wrote, "It is nice to see a steady stream of accounts that pop on my feed that are claiming that they believe the cycle top is already in or close enough to exit all their positions here. It would be much more worrying to me if I didn't see any of this and instead only saw euphoria on the timeline." And folks, I'll just pause and note, the reason that matters is the crowd is pretty much always wrong. They're going to end up being wrong at the extremes anyway, certainly. So, at a time when the market's dipping, of course, people are panicking. You would expect the typical lemming retail speculators to, echo that perspective. There are a lot of analysts that just are not good at charting. That would be most of them. That would be the vast majority of analysts, people that you see charting on social media. Almost none of them know what the hell they're doing. That's very obvious. And if you track them long enough, you can figure that out, because either they're going to be mostly right or mostly wrong. You can figure it out. And so that's all I'm doing here. I'm not a chart guy myself, but you don't need to be a chart guy to be successful in crypto. I assure you of that. You just need a hodl, frankly. But so when he's saying this and he's highlighting all the stuff he's seen, that good, because if there were pure euphoria and prices were going down, that's when I'd start to be alarmed, because I know what marks tops of markets, and it's euphoric responses from people on social media. We are not seeing that. I do not believe for a moment the tops are in, and not only for that reason. Yes, that's a social metric that you can use in conjunction with every other consideration, but it's a good thing to see. And so then Credible Crypto says, right now, the handful of accounts that I do see that are on the same page as me, like cycle top, definitely not in, much higher to go, are all ones that usually have a sound approach / methodology, and that I respect in terms of their approach / ability in trading these markets. Spot on. And that is also what I'm seeing. Absolutely 100%. Here's a post from chart analyst Bobby A. It says the monthly XRP chart is constructing a bullish flag after breaking out of a 7-year consolidation period with no euphoria detected. It is preparing to enter its parabolic blow-off phase and print its second confirmation peak into overbought territory on the relative strength index, similar to 2018. A bit of strategy and patience is all that is required. Fortune favors bold and patient hands. Now, I will note that he posted this last night in the evening before the price of XRP started falling. He obviously knew that there was a chance that in the short term price goes down. And to prove that, he actually reposted that this afternoon after the price had already fallen to remind people, guys, nothing has changed. Yes, XRP price dropped today with the rest of the market, but nothing has changed. Number go up ultimately on a higher time frame. Yes, this market cycle. And you can see what he's targeting here. Look, you see this massive take profit zone. Well, actually, I guess that would be in the green box for him, maybe. Upwards of $13. But yeah, we're not there yet, folks. We are not at the end of things. And he also wrote this. And this is from today. This is from, about an hour ago, 5:36 p.m. He says, the bottom line is this: 99% are fearful or skeptical. Remember that the best news comes at the top and the worst news at the bottom. Sentiment is not euphoric, and this market still has plenty of upside remaining. Money will always flow from impatient hands to patient ones. This account has proven that over the course of many years. Yeah, absolutely true. That is sage wisdom. He absolutely gets it. Here's a post from chart analyst Zoom. This is an XRP US oil chart. And he says, after over 32 weeks of consolidation, XRP US oil has flipped the previous resistance into a strong support. In a nutshell, XRP's top isn't in. Send it higher. And so even though this isn't a USD chart, it's an XRP US oil chart, Directionally, I'd expect him to continue to do the same thing. And as chart analyst Dom, by the way, who's the first guy I ever saw chart this or highlight this pair, he has noted that XRP USD, that pair, just follows this chart anyway. So it's lagged by a couple weeks. So we'll see if that persists. I don't know if there's enough historical data to believe it's going to do that forever into the future. Maybe it will. But either way, he's showing this chart, and this chart's found support. Everything is intertwined. Not just in crypto, but on a macro scale. All of this matters. That's why chart guys will frequently not just do an XRP USD pair or XRP whatever the fiat currency is pair. They'll look at other assets and see how they're performing. They will absolutely denominate XRP in other assets. And here it's oil. Then there was the blockchain backer here. And in his recent video, even on a day like today, he was expressing optimism. And so he still believes XRP is going to rip to the upside, but he continues to insist that it's going to happen when the rest of the market rips to the upside. So it's not like XRP just hits new all-time high in a vacuum. That's never been the case. But one key indicator that would be, I mean, it's been the case every single time XRP's run, and we've had alt season, would be the Russell 2000 breaking out. And in recent days, it actually has, as I've highlighted. There was one day recently where it was up almost 4%. That's a really good sign. And in his latest video, though, he gave multiple reasons explaining why we're in a pivotal moment and that he believes that the market is going to continue back to the upside. And he explained how, we've seen many moments that are similar to this one in the past. This is not completely unique here. It really isn't. Even if it sounds scary to you, there have been so many moments where there was equal fear in the market and uncertainty. And then we just ultimately moved to the upside. And so he believes this is likely to happen in September, actually. I was very happy and interested to hear that. And September's only a few days away. So if we're going to have an exciting September, you don't have to wait much longer. And he fully believes the retail crowd will be pouring back in. In total, too, which is the top 125 coins except for Bitcoin, he noted it's just sitting below the all-time high from back in 2021. So we are close to breaking through it. Like, we are so well positioned. So some charts, depending on what you're looking at, have broken through. Others are about to break through. It just seems like everything's primed. It really does seem like that. And once we do break through, it's off to the races. And it really would make sense for the Russell 2000 to be breaking out right now as it is at the same time, just from a historical perspective. So we're looking teed up, folks. Here's a post from eGreg Crypto XRP BTC chart. And this is late last night, and he said stalling before the move. So he noted XRP BTC kind of stalling out. He still believes it's going to break higher. That is actually the same perspective that Credible Crypto shared. So I found that and they're not the only two analysts to point that out. I think Crypto Insight UK did, and there were some others. But it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. You're getting in an increasingly narrow range here in terms of volatility on the XRP BTC chart. It's just a matter of time. We're still in the bull market, folks. He also shared this chart. It's eGreg Crypto again, and this is an inverted chart, XRP price chart. He says, XRP, is it crashing so hard? It looks like XRP is experiencing a significant downturn, and the trend may continue as we head toward the green circles on the chart. Continued decline. If the current momentum persists, we could see further drops. And so he's obviously having a little bit of fun here. Down on this chart because it's inverted, ultimately targeting $27. So down is good on this chart. So having a little fun on a day like this, perfectly fine. Key takeaway, does not make sense to be fearful here. It absolutely does not. And then we had this chart, this article that I highlighted at the outset of the video. XRP distribution phase doesn't change $20 price target. This is from Cointelegraph, of all places here. Right here, XRP price action reveals a consolidation within a symmetrical triangle on the daily chart, suggesting that the altcoin may be preparing another bullish impulse, according to analyst X-Force Global. XRP price at $20 remains the primary cycle target, this anonymous analyst said in an X post on Wednesday. Although the price still faces strong resistance around the $4 psychological level, this does not alter the overall bullish outlook on the macro, the analyst said, adding that XRP could now follow two possible scenarios. And I got to pause and note here, you're going to keep seeing this recurring theme from the analysts that I follow. Yes, price goes lower in the short term. It doesn't change what happens on on a macro scale, the big picture. It doesn't mean that we no longer hit moon. That is not what this means. You're going to have tons of instances like this on your journey to crypto wealth. If you're going to achieve crypto wealth, you're going to go through tons of these moments. Tons and tons and tons and tons. It's unfortunately, I hate to tell you, it's not optional. It's a requirement. You actually do have to go through this. Piece continues. In the first scenario, the recent pullback is similar to the one seen in past cycles, where the price drops to create new levels of distribution before a major breakout. In an accompanying video, X-Force Global said that after an almost 50% pullback from January 16th highs of $3.40, the price recovered to retest the level with the recent run-up to $3.66. As such, the latest drawdown is another period of distribution before making one of the strongest moves to the upside, the analyst said. In the second scenario, XRP distribution will continue to complete the flat period between wave 1 and 2 before making that massive wave 3 to the upside. Essentially, we have two scenarios, in my opinion, that have the highest conviction probability, and I think we are very close to a much larger upward move, X-Force Global said, adding, quote, "There are just no signals supporting a larger sell-off to the downside." The target for XRP prices between $19 and $30 based on both scenarios as shown in the charts above, which are these ones on your screen. So, recurring pattern amongst the analysts that I follow, which have great track records, all of which recognized the bottom of the market years ago, they say we're not at the top yet. When they're all screaming we're at the top, and we have alarm bells ringing, because there are a ton of metrics that will be signaling when we're at the top or very close to it, I will talk about that. I will acknowledge when we are near or at the top of the market. And not that I'll technically know for sure, but when it makes sense to believe that's what's probable, I'm going to be screaming that. We're not there yet. We simply are not there yet. It does not make sense. This time is not different for so many reasons I keep highlighting in videos. And I've got more to share with you in upcoming videos. There are so many more reasons from a technical and historic perspective that you need to be aware of that will instill well-deserved, well-placed confidence. But for now, everybody chill, y'all. It's all right. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.